everyone, Alex Gray here, and welcome back to the International Classroom Podcast. Now, this December, it is the season of giving, so we're going to switch things up with something exciting. Conversations into the fascinating world of educational platforms. So over the next few weeks, I'm going to be showcasing 12 innovative platforms that are transforming education around the globe. From cutting-edge tools to ideas that are reshaping how we teach, you are going to get exclusive insights straight from the creators and visionaries behind these platforms. And of course, I've got a few extra surprises up my sleeve. So join me as we explore these technologies and discover how they are shaping education in our international classrooms. On to the episode. Gurbinder, thank you so much for joining me on the International Classroom Podcast today. I like this because it's a nice and easy one. Whereabouts in the world do we find you today?
So I'm actually in Dubai. I'm head of computer science at a school here, Nord Anglia International Dubai. I've been here for about 8 years now.
Amazing. Where did you move over from before you were in Dubai?
So I was based in a nice town called Smethwick, which is nestles in between West Bromwich and Birmingham. You might be able to tell from my accent. So I went to a local school. That was actually my old school as well. So I was there for about 12 years. Yes.
I might know it. So tell me, tease me with it. What school was this?
Right, okay, so it's it's Smethwick. It's not Shireland. It's not Brisnell Hall. It's the one by West Smethwick Park.
Okay, I've got a roughish idea because believe it or not, not Handsworth. No,
not Handsworth Grammar.
No. Oh no. Put me on the spot now. I should know my Birmingham geography much better. Okay, put me out of my misery.
Yeah, Holly Lodge High School. Right,
okay. So, believe it or not, my mum's side of family are all from West Brom.
Are they? Okay.
So, yeah. It's so interesting amount of people to speak to. So, my mum's side all Halesowen. I did 4 years in Stourbridge School, and I got Aston. My mum's sort of Handsworth. Handsworth, Halesowen. So my mum grew up in Handsworth, just next to the Baggies ground. Like, come onto the road, take a left.
I can actually see the Baggies ground when I come out of the house. So like we can actually see it in the distance. My wife is from Blackheath, not far from Hull, borderline between Halesowen. She went to Leeso's High School, I think.
Yeah, I know it. Like when we go back, still around there. I grew up in a tiny little village north of there, and I grew up just outside Lichfield. So I don't have, as everyone goes, when it's easy when you're in Dubai and people go, "Where are you from?" I just say north of Birmingham, and they're like, "You don't have." But I can pick up every single person whenever I come across someone. I'm like, "Oh, okay, I know it. I roughly know where you're from." And they're like, "What? You're not from where I'm from?" And it's like, okay, maybe not, but I know these things. So from Birmingham to Dubai, 8 years.
8 years, yeah.
Fantastic. Amazing. How have you found it so far?
So, yeah, I mean, it's been wonderful. I haven't left, so I must have found it. I do enjoy it. I haven't left, so I'm here permanently. Well, I hope so. My wife works here as well. I work here, and obviously my son, I know my oldest son after university, his aspiration is to sort of come back here as well. My youngest son, he was 5 years old when he first moved out here. So obviously he's lived in Dubai most of his life. We all enjoy it as a family. It's a great place to work, to live, a great place to wind down over the weekend as well.
It is, as most people find out, it's a fantastic place to raise a family. Yeah. Without a doubt. But I transgress because we're not here to reminisce over our backstories back in the West Midlands. We're here to talk about something unique to you, something unique that you've got offering, and that I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you're obviously implementing at Nord Anglia where you are. So tell us a little bit about this platform.
So essentially, the story started off in 2022 when I was experimenting with sort of coding. I looked at creating a sort of like a just very, very basic website where it would ask an AI's input, or output, should I say. So we would input into a website a question and have an AI return the output back to us. And I think at the time we experimented with multiple choice questions. When I say we, it was myself and some of the students that we were experimenting with, and then I also had my so another colleague who I was working with at the time. Who was based in the UK, and we were just sort of experimenting with what we could do with. At the time, it was I can't remember which AI it was, but it was one of the sort of the older models from OpenAI, and then it sort of expanded, and I created this website called SwiftTeach, which looks at creating just teacher tools linked to AI, just to support teachers in their sort of everyday tasks. Things like lesson planning, PowerPoint creation, and just sort of general admin. And it's sort of grown and grown and grown in terms of bringing in curriculum-linked material, so having the AI align the output to certain curriculums. And then it went further in terms of looking at different subjects and creating tools for different subjects. And then that's where we are at the moment.
And what inspired like this? Because obviously there's teachers out there, and one of them that are playing around with AI for years now. And even before then, there's experts and people doing PhDs like, oh, AI has been around for years and years.
Yeah, of course.
Like,
Yeah.
What inspired you to get up and create this?
You're not going to like this, but it's pure selfishness. Because I've always, in my teaching as computer science, I mean, my colleagues will attest to this in terms of finding ways to do things quickly and easily so we could enjoy teaching. For example, one of the things I implemented a few years ago was looking at how we could embed the PowerPoints into OneNote. Obviously, now it's a very simple thing, but about 6-7 years ago, that was quite forward thinking, quite innovative in terms of teaching. So every single lesson now has a PowerPoint. Every single lesson has additional links where it would link to various different revision video sites or even websites for the students to sort of dig deeper. And then we sort of embedded Microsoft Forms into Teams when Teams came out. We were using Teams before COVID. So we embedded something called exit skills or exit tickets for every single lesson. So every single lesson that students would walk in, they'd have a 10-question multiple choice quiz ready on Teams, and it would have, you'd eventually build up a picture of students learning and their progress throughout their learning journey. So things like that, things that would make life, or using technology to make life easier for us as teachers, was a thing that sort of ultimately drives me. And obviously the selfishness came, how can I make this AI work for me? So initially it was all about computer science. What can I do what kind of things can I do to get it to help me in my everyday role, to reduce the sort of like the stress, the sort of the time taken to do things like reports, even analyzing code and giving students a breakdown of code, or even scraping a script off YouTube and creating a study guide, or even a multiple choice quiz from YouTube, creating stories with students, like in terms of the learning outcomes, and creating stories about the learning outcomes, and sort of bringing that into the lesson, into the learning. So yeah, it was just, that's how it all started.
Well, I appreciate your honesty with that in terms of, I just made it just to be selfish, but it's not selfish, is it? I mean, it's in terms of, it's the making effective and efficient. Those are the E's we seem to use a lot for AI. How can it be effective and efficient for me? And like you say, we want to use it as educators because we want to spend more time building relationships with students. We don't want to spend, so much time planning and doing all these other things that take away from what really is the joy of teaching. So, don't be too harsh on yourself. Don't be too hard on yourself, with that. So obviously some of the things that you've mentioned there, like, I'm curious about this now because, and here we go, devil's advocate here when it comes to lesson plans. We've all seen, the generic lesson plan that we get out from AI. It's like, how do you overcome that? No, go for it. I like the mug. It's a great mug.
It's that's one thing that you'll find about me. Because I'm a typical nerd. Star Wars, Star Trek. That's me. I do have I do have a replica Kylo Ren lightsaber, which will come out in one of my reels at one point, with my son dressed up and probably me dressed up. So watch out for that.
I was going to say, how was Halloween at your house?
It's great fun. It's great fun.
We digress. Tell us, no, it's all good. How do you overcome the traditional, the typical AI lesson plan? How do you ensure that it's then fit for purpose, or even to some extent, could it be even evidence informed, where I might want to think about, does it have Rose and Shine's principles in? Does it incorporate any of the wider research and things like that? How do you go about ensuring that, so it's not just that lesson plan?
Yeah, I mean, this leads on to the other point in terms of like why. I mean, I get asked this quite a lot in terms of why should teachers use a site like Swift. And now, I know this isn't the only one out there. I know there's a multitude of similar sites, similar companies, and even teachers who are developing something like this with their own sort of vision. And it sort of leads on to how with GPT, you spend time writing your prompt, and then you receive that prompt, and you have to go about changing it and sort of not rewriting the prompt, but sort of amending it a little bit. What I've done is, for every tool that I've got on here, I've gone and done the research in terms of what are the key features of, let's say, argument's sake now off the top of my head, a study guide. So that I've just remembered talking about it. So a study guide. What kind of things would a student need once they watch a YouTube video? Let's say you did some flip learning, rather than having them do corner notes and bring the corner notes to next lesson, why not give them a study guide that accompanies the YouTube video? So what I've sort of, in the last sort of 6-7 months, I've actually implemented student agency a little bit into the output as well. So where you're actually thinking about what it is that the student is doing, how can you bring the student further by getting them to think about the sort of the critical thinking side of a topic, going deeper. And then what you'll find in a lot of the tools is something called further research or further tasks, and even the common misconceptions. It's a lot of the tools, they lend themselves to expanding differently. So some tools like a exam question. An exam question might lend itself to having a model answer as well as further research. So when you create an exam question, it's not just the exam question, the mark scheme, there's further research and maybe common misconceptions that are attached to that. I know the YouTube study guide has questions, comprehension questions, as well as further research. I've got the reading list tool that I've developed over the last sort of few weeks. I've developed it to assist our teachers and students who are on the EPQ and the EE. So I've tailored it towards them in terms of a lot of these tools. I'm not an expert at delivering the EPQ or the EE. And I know a lot of teachers that are, I would say, more expert, have a better sort of experience in terms of delivering those than me. So I go out and speak to them. I go out and speak to the EE supervisor and the EPQ supervisor and say, right, when a student has a research question, where do they start? What should they have? What should we do? What should the teacher have to support them? Now, I can think back to one of my EE students when he was talking about 6 years ago, when he was talking about neural networks. So neural networks is something that's really big in terms of machine learning and AI. But 6-7 years ago, I didn't have a clue. Now, something like this, it would have helped me as well as a student in terms of further research and expanding our knowledge. There is a multitude of tools where I've actually gone into them and thought about the output a little bit more through talking to teachers, talking to experts within that field. And you'll find when I showcase the maths one, the maths tools I'm developing over the sort of last 2 months, I've been developing them with the teachers at my school in terms of what is it that they want, how do they want it displayed, what kind of things do they want on there. So that's been my thought process throughout all of this. And one of the key things is I'm constantly updating because I have the knowledge and I'm in an area and sort of surrounded within a sort of like a job where I've got the expertise around me, and the people who are ultimately going to be my customers, they are using the tool. And if they're coming to me saying, right, this isn't quite right and I need to change this, so it's worked quite well for the last sort of 2 years.
Yeah, it's very useful when you've got like, is it first-hand research, really, isn't it, in terms of evidence and data you can get back when you're working with teachers across different subjects and you can utilize them straight away, then the feedback must be very, very good. So saying that, you've piqued my interest now. So I'm interested. What does this look like? What does this feel like then for teachers who are using it? If you'd be so kind to show us and take us through it, would be really, really appreciative.
Yeah, sure. I do have an account. I've got this one open, so I will share my screen. There we go.
Amazing.
Okay, I know the screen is a little bit elongated, but I've got this giant 32-inch widescreen monitor in front of me
just the ICT teacher flexing on us all there, isn't it? Yeah.
I needed it, so I was like, I was speaking to my missus and I tried to convince her, but it took me about 3 months. But I got the monitor that I wanted.
Don't worry, because I cannot talk, because to the right of me I've got a laptop, I've got my camera, and I've got the screen just over there where you're on. So it's just normal now. It's normal. Educators, we need these things. Shout out to anyone who wants to send me screens. By the way, I would happily receive screens. So yes. Anyway, I think Gurbinder would happily have a screen as well. So take us through. This is the homepage we see on SwiftTeach.
Yeah, this is the homepage. So initially, what you will have on the right-hand side is the spec. Now, it defaults to the SDG curriculum. So what I did about a year ago, we look at the sustainable goals, and on their website they have a key list of learning outcomes for each one. So what I did was I developed my own curriculum. So it defaults to the SDG curriculum. But what I've done on this account is I've actually selected some of the curriculums which I'm sort of like trialing with some of my teachers. Now, to configure the curriculum, all you need to do is configure and select your subject. So in this case, let's say you are a teacher who's teaching a curriculum which is, let's say, GCSE. So you select the United Kingdom as the country of curriculum. And then what I've done is I've placed... Let's have a look. There we go. No, I've logged out. It's. Let me log back in. That's why.
No worries.
There we go. Let me log back. You can edit this bit out. There we go. So when we've got the configure your subject, we select the United Kingdom, which is where all the curriculums, most of the curriculums will be from, but you can also select international. And then on here, you can select the exam board. So in this case, I selected, let's say, AQA, and we can choose either the A-level GCSE or the level 2 certificate, which one of the teachers has asked me for. I think it's the further maths certificate, but we can go into GCSE and we can select any of the GCSE curriculums here. So we can choose history, geography, biology, any of these ones that I've got on there. So the way it works is what I've done is I've looked at the curriculum and I've got the AI to pick up the curriculum from the board, and you just select the curriculum, and you're essentially choosing an AI that's not pre-trained, but like trained on the spot. So even if I choose business, the AI will look at business as the core role, should we say. So we can choose any one of these. If I choose business, so chosen business, and then add selected. So you'll see AQA business has appeared here on the bottom left-hand side. But I've got other ones on there. So in the international curriculum, I've got the IB, Pearson, EdXL, the Cambridge, and there's the UN SDG curriculum that I've made as well. Is there any particular curriculum that you'd like to?
So let's have a look. We do. You got IGCSE on there?
Yes. Which one? Which board?
Pearson.
Pearson. Yeah. So we've got the BTECs on there, and I've got the IGCSE.
So let's go with the IGCSE. I'm impressed you've got the BTECs on there as well. That's super cool. Let's do biology because that's my subject.
Bio. Let's go for it. Okay, so that's loaded on there. So now that's on, what you'll see is this list is updated. So this is our sort of library in terms of whenever we use a tool that lends itself to aligning to a curriculum, we can select one of those AIs. So what I'll do, I like demonstrating the easiest one to demonstrate is the multiple choice quiz generator, because it's really simple to do and teachers will know whether it works or not, because when you create a multiple choice quiz, I don't know if you've done this, when you create a quiz in GPT, what you find is some of the questions have 4 answers and all 4 are probably correct, or 2 of them are correct, or none of them are correct, or the output isn't it's not quite there. So what I did was I designed this tool to not do that. So we go into tools. So on the left-hand side, we've got the tools. You've got the different menu options here. So this is your the main teaching menu option, where you've got planning, content creation, assessment, feedback, inclusion, literacy support, YouTube tools, admin tools. And the purple bar at the bottom is the subject-specific ones. So what I've got at the moment, I've only got 5 at the moment, but I'm working with geography and history. And then I'll be looking at art to see how I can work with art. And we're looking at some other subjects as well, but we're looking at subject-specific tools as well. But what I'll do is I will show you in content creation. So when you select content creation, I've got all these tools, and I will show you one tool in action. So if I go to multiple choice quiz, and let's say I'll let you take the lead on this actually.
So let's say year 10.
Okay, so they're about 15, aren't they?
Yeah.
And then, right, with a lot of tools, you can type in your own key learning intention here, where you be as specific as you can. But what we did earlier on that homepage, we linked an AI. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch on one of those AIs. So I'm going to click on the curriculum link. Now that box has changed, and we're going to select, we'll go with the AQA bio, which is near the bottom. Oh, sorry, not AQA, Pearson, isn't it?
Yeah.
There we go, International GCSE bio. And then hopefully it should narrow down the 5 units, so you can choose which unit you'd like to.
Let's go with Unit 2.
Structure and functions.
Yeah.
And then within that, it will take you down to the topic.
So let's do movement of substances into and out of cells.
Okay, and then we've got 2.15, 2.16, and 2.17.
So do I have to select one of those, or is it possible to select all of them?
So what you can do, the way I've set it up is it's very specific in terms of the spec point, but if you wanted to have 2, what I'm looking at in the future is having sort of like a tick box where you can actually select multiple. But what I found is if you do end up selecting too much, the AI it doesn't quite, it goes all weird.
Let's go with 2.15 then.
We can go with 2.15. It takes a statement, but what you can actually do, you can add in a statement from 2.16 if you wanted to.
Yeah.
So you could type in whatever you want. So if there is something that you want me to add in, I can do.
Let's see how this runs. Let's see how, I'm curious, really interested to see how it runs with this one.
Okay, so it says, understand the process of diffusion, osmosis, active transport as a Pearson EdXL International GCSE Bio teacher. So now this will generate the HTML output. So it will generate on the right-hand side, which you can download as a PDF. I'm working at the moment in terms of where staff can actually download a Word document or an Excel file for different platforms, because I know a lot of teachers use different platforms like Kahoot or Blockit. So I'm working on that at the moment in the next couple of weeks. But essentially, at the moment, if you download this as a PDF, it should allow you to upload the PDF onto Microsoft Forms, and Forms will pick it up. So if I open up the multiple choice quiz, so we've got a question. I don't know if you want to fact check it.
I'll be fine. It'll be fine for this demo.
And then we've got at the bottom, you should have the answer key as well with the feedback. So what I've done is I've automatically told it to do the feedback as well as to why this answer is correct. For example, question 1, why is C correct? Or why is B correct? Why is D correct? Or why are the others not correct? So that's how this one works. And then, so that's the multiple choice quiz. Now, let's say you've got this quiz, you created it, but you want to do a little bit more. At the bottom, I've got some extension, transformation button there. So if I click on transform, I'm actually looking over my laptop because of the size of the screen. You can actually click on create resources. So what it's going to do, it's going to look at the spec and the questions you've asked, and it will create a set of resources that you can quickly carry out in your class, whether it's a set of questions, a quick vocab exercise, a discussion prompt. I like these because I like getting that conversation started with my students. Some keywords, and then we've also got comprehension questions as well. But I love the discussion prompts because it kind of gets you understanding the student's point of view and sort of like their learning as well. So, but yeah, it's quite a cool one.
Amazing. So I'm just noting this down, but people are going to look at this, and I'm looking at it, it's like, this is really impressive, like in terms of the platform, the UX design, everything that's in there. And I'm curious then, how many hours have you invested into this?
2 years, Alex. So
that's part-time 2 years as well, isn't it?
Yeah, part-time. I launched this. Yeah, I launched this. This website was live, I believe, I'm trying to think back now, end of February 2023 went live. And it does not look like this, or it did not. It had the same sort of feel, but not as rich, feature-rich, content-rich as it is now. Every day, I'm finding or every couple of days, I'm thinking a new idea. And the way I've done it is so I can actually quickly implement an idea. And I had a message yesterday about an escape room. And traditionally, creating an escape room is such a mammoth task. But this teacher messaged me, and she wants to create this escape room that is linked to a student who has certain needs, so it needs to link to a theme. It has to link to a curriculum. So I messaged and I said, give me a couple of days and I'll create that tool for you and I'll let you know where it goes.
That's so fantastic. I've got to be, how can I word this? In terms of where my brain's going, how does school feel about this? Because there's going to be people out there that have maybe been with leaders or been with certain schools, and especially where we are going to go, hey, this is great, but this is taking time away from your primary job. This you should be, doing X, Y, and Z. Where you doing this? How have they been with you about this?
So I'm quite strict in terms of what I do in school. In terms of sort of my teaching, the kids will tell you the lessons are pretty fun, and they're getting more and more fun because I'm using this to utilize some of the activities. I'm being more efficient. That has always been at the back of my mind, but I've always been strict in terms of these, and it is 7 till 4:30. 7 to 4:30, I won't touch the development of this. I'll use it as a teacher in terms of creating content, but in terms of running it and issues surrounding it, I won't. It's not something, because it's a hobby, and for me, this is, I'm going back to the word selfish again. No, not going back to the word selfish, but I'm going back to this has been. It is a fun journey. I'm enjoying it. It's not really it's not taking anything away from my day-to-day job because it's easy.
If you're you used to coding and programming and you understand that language, then I'm sure it's very easy for the rest of us. I speak for everyone. But,
no, but it is. It once you when I've been doing this for 2 years, and a lot of the stuff I can sort out. And like I'm talking about creating a tool, I'll sit down, I'll design it. It'll take me probably about 20 minutes to design the UI for it, and then probably another 20 minutes to sort of think about the input, and then think about what it's going to look like. Probably another 20 minutes, and then the biggest time it will take is the actual asking GPT the question. And then the next stage is how do you present it to the end user? So all in all, start to finish, a tool probably takes about 2 to 3 hours. That's it.
Yeah. I think once you master something.
It's easy.
Yeah, it becomes a lot more smoother in how you do things and go through it. So you mentioned this obviously, but like it's a how can I phrase it? It's a business, isn't it? At the end of the day, it is that you are becoming this term, this edupreneur, as this term comes into it now, an educator that's kind of going into the entrepreneurial component of things, and rightly so, being able to stack and leverage the skill set you have acquired and the knowledge you've acquired, through teaching for the betterment of other educators.
And you know what? I think that's. I mean, I have to, with the development of this, sharing the knowledge in terms of how to create this with my IB students when they're doing the IA. Now, one of the other biggest factors when I first went on this journey, 2021. This is a year before. It was about the summer before. I asked my question. The question that was asked of myself was the students in the IB computer science, they spend about between 30 to 40 to 50 hours creating a software in IB computer science. That's a ridiculous amount of time for any student to put into coursework. That's worth 20%. And I thought, how can I make it more efficient? How can I help them and support them even more? Well, I thought, I can't support them if I don't do the same journey as them. So that was one of my initial sort of like, right, I'm going to do something, because that initial journey helped me support my students more in terms of their software development and in terms of what they should be looking for, what the pitfalls are, how do you go about properly developing a software. Now, granted, it is only IB. It's not as you're not developing something for a business. But I think in that respect, the journey has really helped me in terms of supporting my IB students a lot more in terms of their sort of computer science journey and the A-level and the GCSE students as well, in terms of the knowledge that I've gained over the sort of last 2 years.
Fantastic. But I have to ask, how much does it cost?
So the basic subscription for a single user, I have put it at $6.99 per month. So you can either pay monthly $6.99 or you can pay for a yearly subscription at $70. I've also implemented a school and department license as well. So what I've got basic department packages as well, and sort of larger departments, and even small schools and medium school packages as well. And I'm quite honest in terms of how much it's going to cost, and I put everything on there. I know a lot of companies will say email us. No, look, that's how much it's going to be. Then please do email me if you would like to avail that. Essentially,
Because that's why I ask. We're showcasing these platforms and they are great, but they do come at a cost. It's a time thing. You're obviously going through APIs which cost per click and use, don't they, as well? And understanding of that, it's costing you money to when someone uses it. but also it's annoying when it isn't there, when it's just like, oh, go all the way down, go all the way through. It's like, well, I just want to know how much it's going to cost to use. And, teachers, especially here, don't mind paying for things, I think, if it's of use and it's of value.
Yeah.
The difficulty, I think, in the market at the moment is finding what are the right things to invest your money into.
Yeah. I mean, I see, one of my visions is to, I don't know if I should say this actually. One of my visions is to sort of provide this service to teachers who genuinely can't even afford $7.99. And I'm thinking back to sort of like where my family are from in India, in terms of I'm looking at the possibility of gifting this to some of these sort of like the village schools, and they have got computers. They're not. They're able to sort of access this, but that's one of my sort of missions, is to sort of enable every teacher to have access to this. That's why I kept it at sort of a low, relatively lower price, because the accessibility and the affordability of it. I think $6.99 has been pretty reasonable at the moment. So
yeah. If you think about what you'd spend, was it $20 for ChatGPT? Isn't it per month?
Yeah, $20. Yeah.
So it sounds pretty reasonable, and even for the cost for schools for the year to be able to use and go from there. So it's a great initiative, and I do applaud you, like, as someone who knows what it's like to have passion projects and put time into things and try and build things that are slightly different, but it's still time, isn't it? And the fact that you've got something to show for it is phenomenal, and obviously what it can do. And it's great to see, like, not just a tech company coming out with these things, but an actual teacher making things for teachers that understands teaching. I think that's the key thing from here. I think a lot of people, you may have come across this yourself, have sat through many a business pitch from business people, and you can kind of go, you don't know what it's like to teach. So the fact that you've got that.
Yeah, this is where I think, when you said the edupreneur term that you used, edupreneur, and I think that they're so popular because those are the guys and girls who are in the sort of the classroom, and they're doing the day, and they know the ins and outs of our jobs, essentially. So they know exactly what we need, more or less.
So I will start to wrap this up. I always finish with the same question.
Yeah.
And for this little mini series with these people that have got these platforms, it's to do with the future. And I'm interested, if you were to have a no limit, futuristic, whatever you want would go, what would you add to SwiftTeach and why?
So okay. So that's a big question. So one of the things I'm looking at is to see how we can implement videos using curriculum links. So, for example, history. If you're teaching, let's say, World War II, World War I, how can you get it to generate a quick 5-second or 20-second clip of what happened during a certain period, or even generating a in-room conversation between two historical figures. The other one is looking at, obviously, the video is a big one. The voice, having it for languages is something that I'm actually working on now, where you can actually get it to generate a conversation between two people, very similar to what Google LM is doing, but a bit more controlled in terms of the education side of things, where the conversation focuses on, let's say, a customer ordering in a restaurant, let's say in the middle of Madrid, using the Spanish language to enable the staff member to actually play that MP3 file so they can actually practice with the students. Things like those, things that will really make life easy for different parts of a school, because what you can remember, every teacher is different in different areas. So like computer science, with computer science, I can show you this very quickly. With computer science, I focused on, I already know the environment in terms of what it is that I'm looking for. So when I'm creating the tools, I'm being very specific with what I need. And then with science and then with maths is something that I've spoke to my maths teachers about in terms of what they need. They need backward fading worksheets, cascading difficulty worksheets where they can quickly create a worksheet based on a particular problem to solve and get the students to solve that. And then you've got the exit tickets as well, even the assessment. I've got staff who have said to me, how can we get it to generate an exam question using the language of, let's say, IB or let's say AQA, which at the moment when I'm teaching GCSE, A-level and IB, it seems to have cracked. So I've managed to get the exam question builder working in terms of language tone that it uses, where A-level questions are a little bit more structured, whereas the IB questions are a little bit more open-ended, promoting that critical thinking, that sort of deeper understanding for the students. So we're on our way in terms of, I think there's always going to be something, and I think me being me, I'm probably never going to stop. I'm always going to be adding to this, I'll be honest.
And is it just you, or is there a little team back there, anyone helping you?
So at the moment, it is. I do have a web development guys who I'm using, who are helping me sort of support in terms of creating this. Hence the time. I can't develop this fully without having a team behind me. Yeah. But essentially, it is. I'm at the front. I'm the marketing guy. I'm the tool creation. I answer the emails, so I'm the email customer service. For customer service, I get the T's. Yeah.
I love it. It's such a British thing. T-boy.
Yeah.
Everybody needs a T-boy. So if anyone wants to find out,
takeaway from this video, I'm not a T-boy.
That's not the takeaway. The takeaway will be this, because you are the marketing manager, you are customer support, you are, market business leads, whatever it may be. People are interested. People want to reach out. People want to find out more about this. How can they go about contacting you?
So I've got there's an email address on the bottom left-hand corner of the site, and you can just reach me at either contact at SwiftTeach.com or you can contact me at Gurbinder at SwiftTeach.com.
Amazing. Well, Gurbinder, I really appreciate you taking the time this evening to take us through this and showcase what is a fantastic website, a fantastic tool for teachers. And I'm just generally really impressed that you had the time and the inclination and the passion to go and do this and still be teaching at the same time. I think that shows tremendous
it's
planning.
Easy.
There's a lot of hard work that goes into this. And
there is. No, I've got it. Listen, you've got to put anyone out there who is thinking about doing something, anyone out there who is thinking about even taking the leap. And you know what? I can count over 100 times where I've woke up or even sort of gone throughout the day and thought, you know what, I'm going to stop this now. And I'm going to stop. and then, that's it. It was going to be game over. I can count more than 100 times where I actually felt like that. But you know what? Persevere. And I promise if you keep going, your rewards will come.
I think that's great advice to finish this with. So thank you again for coming to join us on the International Classroom podcast and sharing this platform with us, and wish you all the best with the future with this as well. It's really, really inspiring. So thank you.
No, thank you very much for having me, Alex.